Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and change. Those of you that did the Dave Biddle rain dance last night, it did not work. I'm back, and I will be here through Friday. But look who's back. The Fong is here. 24/7 Sports Director of Recruiting Steve Wiltfong, who told me before the show all he wants today is everyone to become a YouTube subscriber so the Ohio State site can pull ahead of all other sites when the end of the month communique is sent out from the bosses and we have the most podcast subscribers. So please, YouTube, Twitter, anything you can subscribe to Bucknuts, hit it right now. If you have to push pause, it'll be worth it. You're about to get some award-winning infotainment from the director of 24/7 Sports, Steve Wiltfong. Steve, how goes it?
Good morning, Daniel. Doing well. We are in the dead period, so I'm excited about that.
I was going to say, no one likes a good dead period more than Steve Wiltfong. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I mean, no more weekend visits for a while. And I know college coaches I think some of them were already on airplanes Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, getting out of town, getting somewhere exotic with their families. And because, I mean, these college programs have had kids on campus since March.
As Steve mentioned, the official visit period for college recruits ended Sunday evening. So those are done. So today,
4 straight months.
I know it was rough. The new calendar is something else, especially you add in the fact with the NIL and stuff now, the volume's been turned up to just a very intense level. Today, we're going to get a vibe from Steve. Nothing etched in stone, people. Keep in mind, nothing is etched in stone here. These high-profile guys are back commiserating with their people and choosing where they're going to go. But we're going to get a sense from Steve now. The guys Ohio State's really after. Official visits are over. What is Steve's official vibe? I would say this is not as strong as a crystal ball. This is just a vibe. So don't aggregate this, people. This is just the Fong bringing you his current vibe. So we will start at the top. Bryce West and Aaron Scott. I got the names right. I often mix it the first and the last. Bryce West is in. We've talked about these two corners forever. Bill Kurelic has a story up about Aaron Scott. I have to say it's relatively encouraging given where we've been over the last few months and the threat of Michigan. The Bryce West calamity was avoided. Your vibe on Aaron Scott and maybe a little commentary as the official visit season has come to an end.
Well, I've held on to my Ohio State prediction for Aaron Scott, but certainly have acknowledged, as y'all know, that Michigan a legitimate contender in this recruitment. But I feel like as it winds down, I still feel like he'll end up at Ohio State. I know that this past visit was one that he was really looking forward to. And you read the Dean's story, obviously had a great time. And I haven't heard anything yet to make me flip that pick to Michigan. So this is a prospect that Ohio State has coveted as high as anyone on the board, regardless of position.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an elite skill set and a guy that Ohio State's worked hard to recruit, and I have him in right now.
Yeah, hopefully that Springfield vibe kicks in there. Dave knows that vibe too. Braxton Miller, sorry, Huber Heights. We all know where Braxton's really from. Let's move on. The next guy, we haven't talked about this guy as much on this show, Steve, but you have written about him consistently, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Guerby Lambert, offensive lineman.
Well, not much has changed as far as the intel goes from the last time I was on last week. I know that Coach Fry and Coach Day have great connections at his high school. They got him on campus.
Where's he from again?
Massachusetts.
Right.
And I think Ohio State's on the short list. There's a lot of buzz around Notre Dame with the academics, the small class sizes, and then certainly what they bring as a football program. And then Boston College trying to keep him home. He wants to major in engineering, so that's a big part of his decision as well.
if you could help us out, if you know when these guys are scheduled to commit, that would help. Does Guerby know when and when you're looking for?
I haven't seen a date for Guerby. Guerby's pretty low key.
Okay.
So that's how I like my offensive linemen.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I don't like the ones that put a lot of attention on themselves. The ones that carry themselves the way Guerby carries themselves, they tend to be the ones that play well in college.
And the NFL. In fact, if you cover an NFL team, which I did, there's a kangaroo court, and offensive linemen used to fine each other if you even spoke to the media. So when you're 23 years old in the Redskins locker room and asking a huge offensive lineman a question and he's staring right at you and not answering, you learn then that offensive linemen aren't supposed to speak to the media.
Daniel, there were a couple of official visitors this weekend. Ohio State landed 2 commits. They landed Bryce West and Damarian Witten out of Glenville. Damarian Witten's 6'4", 220-pound, high upside tight end that can be a bit of a mismatch, a tough cover. Who are you going to match him up with? He's got a exciting skill set. I love where Ohio State stands with Miles Lockhart, a 4-star corner from Chandler, Arizona. Ohio State came into the visit as the favorite. I think they're the overwhelming favorite coming out of the visit. Then talking to my colleague, Greg Biggins, out west, 24/7 Sports national analyst. He's got his thumb on all the top prospects in the Los Angeles area. He caught a chance to talk with Kyngstonn Vilamu-Asa, the coveted linebacker from St. John Bosco. And he thinks, there's been a lot of recent buzz about USC with Kyngstonn, but I think this visit to Ohio State really, really moved the needle for Kyngstonn Vilamu-Asa after talking to Greg Biggins, who talked to Kyngstonn about that visit. So this recruiting weekend is one that could ultimately bear a lot of fruit for the Buckeyes. They have the nation's number 2 recruiting class nationally right now. They passed the Wolverines with the commitments from the 2 coveted Glenville targets.
Let's say out west, not St. John Bosco, but Mater Dei and Brandon Brown.
Brandon Baker.
I'm sorry?
Baker.
I said Brown. Baker. My bad. I'm going to take shit for that. Best offensive lineman I've seen in the class, and I know Justin Fry is big on him, hoping the California ties work. When he left here, that's kind of a theme that we're kind of going over here. When guys leave visits, they may say things that are glorified based on where they are, and then they go on other visits and things tend to settle down. When he left here, it was very much Ohio State. Now you're hearing a lot of Oregon. Your vibe?
Well, I think that until told differently, Oregon is the team that I would point to, but I will say that good visit to Ohio State. It was a return visit, and communication remained strong with the Buckeyes, and you never rule Ohio State out. I think that Texas is also in there, and I do not expect him to end up at Georgia.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is where he was this past weekend.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Which is where he was this past weekend.
Okay.
Kobe Black was at Texas this weekend.
Texan himself.
And, there's some people that spent time with Kobe that think that Texas is in a really good position. But I just know that him and his family really enjoyed their time at Ohio State, a return trip after a great experience in the spring. This is a family that's been through the process. Dad played college football. Older brother plays football at Oklahoma State. So when you have that kind of insight, things you have
it's not their first rodeo.
Right. And I think that the important things are the important things when they look at their recruitment. When you compare it, there are people that don't always make decisions based on all the important things. I think with Kobe Black, they look at Ohio State as a place that has a tremendous culture with tremendous defensive back coaches, with a pedigree of development at the position, and as a football team with off-field opportunity in a great city like Columbus, playing on the national stage. And so I think the Buckeyes are way in that one. It's kind of similar to KJ Bolden, right? Like Kobe Black comes on campus, a lot of people are pointing towards Texas, even though he's got Alabama and LSU on his short list. And then KJ Bolden, the crystal ball is on Georgia. He's from Georgia. There's a lot of Georgia smoke, but Ohio State's got a great shot at KJ Bolden. That visit was an awesome official visit. He's been to big games at Ohio State. His mom loves the Buckeyes program. She's connected with the coaches. Coach Eliano and company have done a great job. He loved watching film with Coach Eliano. And so Ohio State, they got a chance to sign the best defensive back class in the country. It's going to be damn good regardless because they're, the crystal ball's on them for Aaron Scott. They have Bryce West in the fold. Miles Lockhart's a guy that they're trending for, but you're still in the thick of it for a KJ Bolden, and then you're still in the thick of it for a Kobe Black. This could be a really, really special defensive back haul for the Buckeyes this cycle.
Do you have a vibe on when those Black and Bolden are expected to verbally commit?
I think Bolden could do something this summer, and Peyton Woodyard's another guy that Ohio State's working on. They're trying to flip from Georgia. He had a good visit to Ohio State this summer. Kobe Black, I haven't heard a timetable on Kobe Black. That doesn't mean there isn't one.
Sure.
And he's got an official visit scheduled for Alabama in October. So, I guess we'll see. But maybe there's a report that says he's going to decide this summer, and I just didn't see it. But
you say official visit in October. Unfortunately for Steve, this dead period will end at some point, and guys will get back out on the road.
Yeah, we eventually got to grind again on the weekends, and we'll be grinding on weekends because kids will be announcing their commitments and stuff on the weekends. But I certainly love a time when there's not 500 recruits on campuses. That is that lightens the load just a hair.
Certainly when your beautiful children are participating in, be it soccer, baseball, or whatever, you'd rather focus on your own child's athletics than that of some other one. But we do have to pay the bills. Speaking of which, let's take a break here at the 12-minute mark, pay some podcast bills. I have a couple guys left to ask about, and then we'll roll. And we are back. Last year was the wild goose chase for defensive ends that never materialized. This year, optimism abounds. What did you think of Eddrick Houston's recent visit to Alabama? Did that affect in any way your belief that he could end up at Ohio State?
Well, anytime a prospect visits Alabama, that obviously is one that can move the needle and change the dynamic of a recruitment. But I haven't heard anything yet. Doesn't mean that it hasn't happened, but I haven't heard anything yet to make me want to move my prediction off of Ohio State for Eddrick Houston. Still like where the Buckeyes stand there until told differently. And Ohio State, they're in the thick of it for Dylan Stewart, as you know.
That was my next name. Go ahead.
Yeah, they took an official visit the same weekend, or no, excuse me. Did they?
Yeah, they did. Yep.
Yeah. It was the same weekend. Yeah, with KJ Bolden and all them. And the more people so there's so much mixed stuff out there on Dylan Stewart right now, but there are a lot of people saying that they think he's going to end up at Ohio State. Mom loves Larry
South Carolina, Steve. I talked about this yesterday. South Carolina has some hook in the DMV that I'm not aware of. Either it's aligned to their NIL or some coach on the staff, because Nicholas Harbor is better than South Carolina. There's other guys considering it. Dylan Stewart should be decided between Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia, in my opinion, based on quality of football. What is South Carolina doing so well? Selling Hilton Head?
Well, they have a program that's on the rise. They finished their season by beating Tennessee, who won a New Year's Six Bowl, beating Clemson. They beat Clemson. I think when you look at Sterling Lucas over there at South Carolina, he's got some NFL pedigree in his history. He's worked at several NFL programs and had a lot of success. So that's a guy that people would want to learn from, and they get after it on the trail. Miami's another program that is recruiting Dylan Stewart like he's the number one overall prospect on their board, and so. We'll see what happens, but there are a lot of people that behind the scenes like Ohio State's position, and I kind of slept on Ohio State in this recruitment for a little while, but I'm certainly not sleeping on them anymore. That's another prospect that Ohio State's got a great shot to land a June. These June official visits, very fruitful. Marquise Lightfoot, the crystal ball favors Ohio State for him, the edge rusher out of Chicago. Now, he was at Miami this past weekend. Did the Hurricanes change that? I haven't heard that yet, but they're certainly trying. Jeremiah McClellan's a receiver from St. Louis going into his official visit to Oregon this weekend. I liked where Ohio State stood. We'll see where the dust settles there. But,
question quick. Another one here. This is a theme developing. Did I see the Elijah Moore, by the way, another DC DMV resident? Now he likes South Carolina as well?
Florida State.
Florida State, my bad.
Yep, was that in Tallahassee this past weekend? Had a great visit, and the vibe there has flipped from Ohio State.
Why is that? You think?
I think he had a great visit. I think Florida State, they had a great year last year. There's a high expectations for them this year.
Depth chart,
yeah,
NIL maybe. Because no one would choose to play receiver at Florida State over Ohio State. See, we all know this. I'm slightly biased. I don't know if you've noticed.
I hope people don't lump me into the stuff that you say here.
I know. Listen,
I'm just a fly.
I don't know if you've noticed. You're on several shows. You know what I'm saying? They can differentiate. I'm the buck nutter, and you're the director. I'm just here. You're
wearing an Ohio State hoodie.
Oh, this is fire! Look at this thing. It's you know why? 65 degrees today. I'm in summer mode, and it's a little too chilly. Oskiani agrees with me. Anyway, I think we'll let Steve go. He's been very gracious with his time. I think we'll give him next week off, and then we'll start bothering him again after that. But this is high-quality programming here. It is not easy to get the director on people. The fact that he comes to some branched-off show like Bucknuts Morning 5 is a gift to all of us. So
easy. You'll
see him on the Wiltfong Whip Around. You'll see him on the recruiting shows from coast to coast. And we appreciate him being here. Have a good one, Bucknutters.
Take care, y'all. You'll also see me sometimes on the front row.
Sometimes.